Far away from Earth, in a distant part of the galaxy, many great worlds lived under the rule of the Veeleri Dominion. The Veeleri were proud, strong, and had their own special way to solve problems. Instead of long wars that destroy everything, they chose a tradition called the blood duel. It was a fight between two warriors. Not a fight to kill, but a fight to test skill, courage, and heart. The winner would bring honor to their people and settle disputes without wasting more lives. The Veeleri looked down on humans. They thought humans were small, weak, and not worthy of respect. But humans had something the Veeleri did not expect, a spirit that never gave up. On Earth, the United Council had heard about the tension rising between the Veeleri Dominion and their people. The Veeleri demanded respect and power over some space near Earth. The Council wanted peace and did not want a war that could destroy millions. So, they decided to send one human warrior to meet the Veeleri's champion in a blood duel. This warrior's name was Ryan. Ryan was young but brave. He had trained for many years to become the best fighter on Earth. But more than skill, Ryan carried hope for his people. He knew this duel was more than just a fight, it was a chance to stop a war before it began. The place for the duel was the great arena on the Veeleri home planet, a shining city with tall towers and bright lights. The sky was a deep purple, and the air smelled strange but fresh. Many from the Veeleri Dominion came to watch, expecting their champion to win easily. Ryan stood at the center of the arena. His suit was simple but strong, designed to protect him and move with his body. He looked calm, but inside, his heart beat fast. He remembered the faces of his family and friends back on Earth. They were counting on him. Across from him stood the Veeleri champion, DREAMY. She was tall, with silver skin that shimmered under the lights. Her eyes were sharp and cold, like a hunter's. DREAMY was proud and sure of her victory. She had never lost a blood duel before. The crowd fell silent as the duel began. The rules were clear: no deadly weapons, no killing moves. The fight was about skill, speed, and willpower. DREAMY moved first, fast, and powerful. She tried to overwhelm Ryan with her strength and quick strikes. But Ryan was ready. He moved like water, flowing and changing. He dodged her attacks and looked for an opening. The duel was long and difficult. Each warrior showed great skill. They were like two dancers, moving carefully and quickly, testing each other's limits. The crowd was amazed. Many had never seen a human fight like this. At one moment, Ryan saw his chance. DREAMY made a small mistake. He moved quickly and touched her arm with his hand, not to hurt, but to mark the victory in the duel. According to Veeleri tradition, when a warrior is touched in this way, the other warrior tastes their blood. DREAMY's blood tasted cold and strange, but when she touched Ryan's skin, she suddenly tasted something different. It was warm and full of life. A strange feeling spread inside her. She stopped moving, confused. The taste of Ryan's blood brought images into her mind, visions of a human boy growing up, laughing with friends, falling, and rising again. She saw pain and loss, but also hope and courage. It was a feeling she had never known. DREAMY's eyes softened for a moment. She whispered, "You're my end, human." The duel ended with no clear winner. Both warriors were tired but respected each other more than before. The Veeleri crowd was silent. This was not the result they expected. Ryan looked at DREAMY and saw the change in her eyes. Something had shifted, and he felt a new hope. Back on Earth, the leaders waited anxiously. When the message came that the duel had ended in a draw, they were surprised but relieved. A war had not started. Maybe, just maybe, peace was possible. But for DREAMY, the taste of human blood was not just a moment, it was the beginning of a journey she could not stop. A journey that would change everything she believed about humans, herself, and the future of her people. After the duel, the great hall of the Veeleri city was quieter than usual. The many spectators and leaders had left, but DREAMY stayed behind, alone in a high chamber that looked out over the glowing city. Her mind was full of strange thoughts, feelings she did not understand. The taste of the human warrior's blood lingered in her mouth. It was unlike anything she had ever experienced before. The Villery blood rituals were sacred. Blood was more than life, it carried memory, history, and spirit. When a Villery tasted another's blood in the duel, it was to honor their strength and spirit. But this time, something different had happened. The human blood was alive with something powerful. Juria's vision changed, and suddenly she was not in the city anymore. She saw images: a small boy running through a burnt village, hiding from fire and smoke. She saw the boy helping a stranger, even though he was scared. She saw the boy falling but getting up again, over and over. These images were not hers, but they were inside her now. She sat down heavily. The room felt heavy with silence, but inside her head, the memories played again and again. "What is this?" she whispered. Her people believed that blood showed only strength and honor. But this was different. It showed pain, kindness, and hope all at the same time. Juria stood and walked to the window. Below, the city lights twinkled like stars. She had always believed the Villery were strong because they had no fear, no weakness. But what if she was wrong? What if true strength was something else? She wanted to speak to the elders, the keepers of the ancient knowledge, but she was afraid. If they learned what she was feeling, they might punish her. The elders warned that any Villery who changed because of foreign blood lost their honor and place in society. They must remain pure. But Juria could not forget the taste of Ryan's blood or the images it brought. She stayed in her chamber for days, thinking and remembering. The memory of the boy's kindness, his courage, stayed with her like a warm light. Meanwhile, on Earth, Ryan rested on his ship. He did not know what was happening to Juria, but he felt the weight of the duel on his shoulders. The fight had been more than skill, it was a message. He hoped it was a message of peace. Back on Villery, Juria began to secretly learn about humans. She asked her servants to bring her books, stories, and songs from Earth. She read about people who lived with courage and kindness, even when life was hard. She listened to music that spoke of hope and dreams. One night, she found a story about a boy who helped others even when no one else would. It reminded her of the visions she had seen. Juria whispered to herself, "What kind of being is this human? Why does his blood carry so much?" She felt something new growing inside her, a question she could not answer. Could the humans be stronger than the Villery? Not in muscle or speed, but in heart? The elders began to notice her change. They watched her carefully during their meetings. Juria no longer spoke with the cold certainty she once had. She hesitated, she questioned, she showed emotion. One elder asked, "Juria, why do you doubt? Why do you look to the humans for answers?" She looked him in the eye and said, "Because their blood showed me something I never knew. Not weakness, but strength, different from ours, but real." The elders were silent. This was dangerous talk. Still, Juria could not stop. She felt connected to Ryan in a way she could not explain. His blood had opened a door in her mind. It showed her a new path, a path where the Villery and humans might find peace. But for now, she was alone with her thoughts and the heavy secret she carried. She looked to the stars and wondered, what will happen when I meet him again? Will he understand what I have become? Days passed, but Juria could not shake the feeling that had taken root inside her. The visions from Ryan's blood still came to her, like whispers in her mind. They showed her more than just moments, they showed her the heart of a human. Juria wanted to understand more. She began to secretly ask her servants for more books and records about Earth and its people. She studied everything she could find, stories of struggle and courage, poems of love and loss, and songs that lifted the spirit. It was all new to her, an open world of emotion and hope. One evening, as she sat alone in her chamber, she opened a small, worn book that spoke about something called forgiveness. The words surprised her. To forgive is not weakness, the book said. It is strength to let go and build something new. Juria remembered the memory of Ryan helping a boy who had hurt him. She had never seen such a thing in Villery history. Among the Villery, revenge was common, and forgiveness was seen as a sign of weakness. But now, she wondered if forgiveness was the strongest power of all. The memory of the blood still felt like a seed planted deep inside her veins. It was growing slowly, pushing her to question everything she had been taught. Her thoughts were interrupted by a visitor, a quiet Villery messenger who brought a note from the elders. They wanted to meet with her immediately. Juria knew what this meant. The elders had sensed the change in her. They did not like it. The ancient laws said no Villery could be touched by foreign blood without losing honor. To be changed was to be an outcast. She took a deep breath and prepared herself. The elder chamber was cold and dim, filled with the heavy presence of age and power. The elders sat in a circle, their eyes sharp and serious. Juria, their leader began, your behavior is troubling. You hesitate in battle, you question our traditions, and we hear rumors that you seek knowledge from humans. Juria met their gaze without fear. It is true, she said. The blood I tasted showed me things I did not know. Humans carry strength beyond our understanding. The room grew silent. One elder spoke, you must choose. Return to the path of the Villery, or be cast out. Juria's heart pounded, but she answered, I choose to learn, to understand, and to find a better way. The elders were shocked. For a moment, nothing was said. Then the leader said, you have 1 week to return to your duties. If you do not, you will face exile. Juria bowed her head. The weight of their words was heavy, but inside her, the seed of change grew stronger. Back in her chamber, Juria opened the book again. She read about humans who chose peace over war, who helped even their enemies, who believed in hope. She wished Ryan was there to explain more. Meanwhile, Ryan was preparing to return to Earth. The duel had made him famous among his people, but also made him think deeply. He did not want war. He wanted peace. A message came from Villery. Juria wished to speak to him again. Ryan agreed. The meeting was set on a neutral space station between their worlds. When they met, Juria looked different. Her eyes held questions and a softness he had not seen before. She handed him a small package, the book she had been reading. This is your story, she said quietly. I want to understand more. Ryan smiled, grateful and surprised. Then we will learn together. Their conversation was slow and careful. Juria asked about human life, about hope and fear, about forgiveness and strength. Ryan spoke honestly, sharing his own stories of loss, of courage, and of dreams for a peaceful future. For the first time, two warriors from different worlds truly listened to each other. As they talked, a quiet friendship began. It was not easy, but it was real. Juria felt the seed inside her grow stronger. It was not just a memory, it was a new way of being. She looked at Ryan and thought, maybe this human is not my end, but my beginning. The space station where Juria and Ryan were to meet was quiet and filled with soft white lights. It floated gently between the stars, a place where many different beings came to talk and solve problems. This time, their meeting was not a duel. It was a chance to speak, to understand, and maybe to find a way forward. Juria waited in a small room, her silver skin catching the light. She was nervous, but more curious than afraid. The blood of the human warrior still burned inside her, and with it came new feelings: confusion, hope, and something close to respect. When Ryan arrived, he smiled warmly. He saw the change in Juria's eyes, and he felt hope too. Thank you for meeting me, Juria said softly. Ryan nodded. I want to know why you asked to see me again. Juria took a deep breath. After the duel, I have seen many things. Your blood showed me memories I never knew, but also feelings I did not understand. I want to know why you fight not just with strength, but with kindness. Ryan thought for a moment. Because kindness builds trust, and trust builds peace. If we only fight, then the war never ends. But if we show care, maybe one day both our peoples can live without fear. Jiraiya looked at him closely. But you had every reason to see me as an enemy. Why did you not try to defeat me completely? Ryan's eyes were steady. Because I believe every warrior has a choice to fight to destroy or to fight to protect. I chose to protect. Jiraiya felt a new respect growing inside her. She opened a small package she had brought, Ryan's journal. This is your story? I want to understand your world better. Ryan took the journal and began to read. The pages were filled with simple words and drawings. They spoke of Ryan's childhood, his struggles, and his dreams for peace. I did not expect you to share this with me, Ryan said quietly. Because I want to learn, Jiraiya replied. And I want to change. The two warriors talked for hours. They shared stories about their worlds and their people. Ryan told Jiraiya about Earth's many struggles but also its beauty. Jiraiya spoke of the Veelary's history, their traditions, and their fears. Slowly, the walls between them began to fall. Jiraiya said, "Your blood is strange to me. It carries pain, but also hope. It is different from Veelary blood, which carries only honor and strength." Ryan smiled. Maybe that is why we can learn from each other. As their meeting ended, Jiraiya asked one last question. Will you let me come with you to Earth? I want to see the world that made you who you are. Ryan was surprised but pleased. I will take you. Back on Veelary, rumors spread quickly. Many nobles whispered that Jiraiya was changing too much. They feared her new thoughts and her interest in humans. The elders called a secret meeting. They worried her change would weaken their power and traditions. One elder said, if she continues, she must be stopped. She could bring ruin to the Dominion. But others were not so sure. Some had seen the results of the duel and knew something had shifted. Meanwhile, Jiraiya prepared for her journey. She packed lightly but took Ryan's journal and the small book about forgiveness close to her heart. She looked at the stars one last time before leaving. This is a new path, she thought. A path not just of strength, but of understanding. Ryan and Jiraiya's journey to Earth would change everything. Not just for them, but for their peoples. The ship glided through the cold darkness of space, moving steadily toward Earth. Inside, Jiraiya looked out at the stars with wide eyes. For the first time, she was leaving the world she had always known. She was going to a place full of new ideas, new people, and new challenges. Beside her, Ryan was calm and steady, ready to guide her through his world. The journey was long, but the time gave them many chances to talk. Jiraiya asked questions about Earth's people, their customs, and their lives. Ryan answered honestly, sharing stories of both beauty and hardship. Jiraiya listened closely, fascinated by the complexities of a world so different from her own. When the ship finally entered Earth's atmosphere, Jiraiya felt a mix of excitement and fear. The blue planet below was alive and full of color, unlike the quiet, silver cities of the Veelary. She realized that Earth was messy, unpredictable, and full of life. It was not perfect, but it was real. Ryan led Jiraiya through crowded streets, bustling markets, and peaceful parks. She saw children playing, families laughing, and people from many different places living together. She was surprised by the warmth and kindness she found everywhere. This was the world that had shaped the human warrior she had fought. But not everyone welcomed her. News of Jiraiya's arrival spread quickly. Some humans were curious and hopeful, but others were afraid. They had heard stories of the Veelary Dominion as powerful and dangerous. Now, a Veelary noble was walking among them. Many worried what this meant. Jiraiya also faced challenges from her own people. Back on Veelary, The elders grew more uneasy. They had warned her to return and follow their ways, but she had chosen a different path. Some nobles called her a traitor. They believed she was weakening the Dominion's strength by embracing human ideas. In secret meetings, the elders planned how to stop her. They feared that if Jerea changed too much, the balance of power would shift forever. But she was not alone. Some Villery quietly supported her, believing it was time for change. Meanwhile, on Earth, Ryan introduced Jerea to his community. They were cautious at first but slowly grew to trust her. Jerea shared stories of her people and listened to the hopes and fears of Earth's people. She began to understand that strength was not just in power or speed, but in compassion and cooperation. One day, during a gathering in a quiet park, Jerea spoke to a group of humans and Villery who had come together. She said, "We are different, but our strength comes from learning and growing. We do not have to be enemies. Together, we can find a new way." Her words were simple, but they carried hope. Ryan smiled. He saw how much she had changed, how much they both had changed. The journey was not just about visiting a new world, it was about building bridges between two peoples. But the path ahead was still difficult. The elders on Villery sent a message demanding Jerea return or face exile. The people of Earth were divided, some trusted her, others did not. Jerea knew she must stand firm. She was no longer just a Villery warrior or a human stranger. She was a bridge between worlds. And for peace to grow, she must break old paths and create new ones. That night, looking up at the stars, Jerea whispered, "This is only the beginning." The days on Earth passed quickly for Jerea and Ryan. Together, they traveled through cities and small towns, meeting people who were curious about the Villery and hopeful for peace. Jerea learned much about Earth's struggles and its beauty. She was moved by the kindness of strangers and the determination she saw in many hearts. Yet, despite the hope she found, the shadow of her past weighed heavily on her. Messages from Villery grew more urgent. The elders demanded her return. They warned her that if she stayed away, she would lose her place in their society forever. The thought made Jerea's chest tighten, but she refused to let fear guide her. One evening, as the sun set behind the city skyline, Jerea and Ryan sat together in a quiet park. The air was cool, and the sounds of distant laughter filled the space around them. Jerea looked up at the sky, her eyes reflecting the colors of the fading light. "I must make a choice soon," she said softly. "To return and live by the old laws, or to stay here and try to build something new." Ryan took her hand gently. "Whatever you decide, I will stand with you." Jerea smiled faintly, grateful for his support. But inside, she knew the path ahead would be difficult. The next day, Jerea was invited to speak before a group of human leaders and diplomats. It was her chance to share her vision for a peaceful future, a future where Villery and humans could work together. She stood tall and spoke clearly, "Our worlds have known war and fear. But I believe that we can change. I have tasted the strength in human kindness, and I want to build a bridge between our peoples. Not just for today, but for the future." Her words touched many hearts. Some nodded with hope, while others remained skeptical. But Jerea understood that change takes time and patience. Meanwhile, on Villery, the elders met in secret. The news of Jerea's speech reached them, and they were not pleased. "She threatens the order we have kept for centuries," said one elder. "Her ideas could weaken us." Another elder said, "But perhaps this is the future. Maybe it is time to listen." The debate was fierce. The elders were divided, and so was the Villery society. Jerea felt the pressure mounting. Her people demanded loyalty and strength, but her heart called for understanding and peace. One night, she received a message from the Villery Council: "Return within 3 days, or face exile." Jerea knew the time to decide had come. She stood by the window of her temporary home, looking at the stars. She thought of her family, her people, and the life she had always known. But she also thought of Ryan, the humans she had met, and the hope she now carried. With a deep breath, she turned away from the window and walked to Ryan. "I will not return," she said firmly. "Not yet. We have a chance to change everything." Ryan smiled, relief and pride in his eyes. "Then we will face the future together." The news of her decision spread quickly. Some Villery called her brave, others called her a traitor. But Juria did not regret her choice. She knew that peace was worth the risk. As the days passed, Villery and humans began to talk more openly. Small groups formed to share ideas and hopes. The old walls of fear slowly started to crumble. Juria and Ryan became symbols of change, proof that two very different worlds could come together. One evening, as the stars shone brightly overhead, Juria whispered, "This is just the beginning. We will face many challenges, but together, we can build a new world." Ryan nodded. "And we will face it side by side." The days that followed Juria's decision were full of change. The message that she would not return to Villery stirred many feelings: hope, fear, anger, and curiosity. The Villery Dominion had never faced such a challenge from one of their own. Yet, Juria stood firm, knowing that the future depended on courage and understanding. On Earth, Juria and Ryan worked together to build a bridge between their peoples. They held meetings where humans and Villery could speak openly, share their stories, and learn from each other. At first, these gatherings were small and quiet, but soon they grew larger, full of voices and new ideas. Juria was amazed to see how much people wanted peace. She heard stories of families who had lost loved ones to war, and of communities ready to rebuild. She saw children playing together, not caring if their skin was silver or brown. The hope in their eyes was stronger than any fear. One afternoon, as she walked through a park filled with children, a young Villery boy came running toward her. His face was bright with excitement. "Lady Juria," he called. "My father says you're helping us find a better way." Juria smiled and knelt down. "That's right. We are all learning together." She looked around at the children playing. They were the future, stronger and wiser because they would grow up with friendship, not fear. But not everyone was happy. The Villery elders continued to send messages demanding her return. Some Villery warriors saw her as a traitor and warned that the Dominion could not survive without strict rules and strength. One day, Ryan received a message from the Villery Council. They were sending a delegation to Earth not to bring Juria back by force, but to talk. It was the first step toward peace. Juria felt a mix of hope and nervousness. The path ahead was still uncertain, but the chance to speak with the elders was a sign that change was possible. The delegation arrived on Earth with quiet dignity. The meeting took place in a peaceful hall filled with representatives from both worlds. Juria, Ryan, and the elders sat across from each other, each side watching carefully. Juria spoke first. "We are not enemies. We come from different places, but our hopes are the same. We want safety, peace, and a future for our children. If we listen to each other, we can build a stronger future together." The elders listened, some with skepticism, others with curiosity. The leader of the delegation, Elder Varek, spoke next. "Your courage is great, Juria. You have challenged traditions and opened hearts. It is not easy to change old ways, but perhaps it is time." Ryan added, "We must learn from each other, not fight each other. Our strength lies in unity." The talks were long and sometimes difficult. Old fears and doubts surfaced, but slowly, understanding grew. The elders agreed to send a group of Villery scholars and diplomats to Earth to learn more about human ways. In return, humans would visit Villery worlds. It was a new beginning. Later, as the meeting ended, Juria stepped outside and looked up at the stars. She thought of her journey from a proud warrior who had fought with fire, to a leader who fought with hope. Ryan came beside her and smiled. You have changed everything. Juria nodded. We have changed everything. But this is just the start. There is much work ahead. She felt a quiet strength inside her, a strength born not just from battle, but from understanding and love. Together, they watched the stars, knowing that the future was wide open, full of promise and peace. The blood that once marked the end of a battle was now a symbol of a new beginning.